Every submission in the UFC is a perfection of three key factors: skill, technicality, and timing. And while many fighters are masters in this art, a few fighters are so technically proficient in submitting their opponents, you just keep wondering how they do it. So to further prove our point, we've gone through every UFC event of 2022 to find the top 7 submissions of the year so far. All you have to do is sit back and relax, because these submissions are going to leave you clinging to the edge of your seat. But make sure you stick to the end of this video, because our number 1 submission is a shocker. Now without wasting any more time, let's begin. The best place to start will be with the king of submissions, Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is the UFC's submission specialist, and at UFC 274 he did what he knows how to do best, and that's make his opponents tap out. Oliveira won with a simple rear naked choke, but it's not how he won that matters. It's the story behind the win that actually makes this one very special. The former lightweight champ came into this fight knowing he was facing probably the deadliest striker in the division. Coupled with the fact that he already lost his title on the scales for missing weight, we think it's safe to say that all the odds were stacked against him in this one. Still, Charles "Du Bronx" Oliveira, the man who says he's illuminated by God, stepped into the cage, got dropped early in the first round, but still knocked down Gaethje with a right hand of his own and seamlessly took Gaethje's back to get the choke in the first round. Number 6 is Alexei Oleinyk's submission win against Jared Vanderaa. They say age is just a number, and UFC heavyweight fighter Alexei Oleinyk is here to prove that theory extremely right. After turning 44 years old in 2021, many UFC fans kept asking themselves how much longer he had in the UFC, especially after he bagged 3 losses in a row. But Oleinyk, being the relentless man he is, showed he still had enough gas in the tank to continue his career. At UFC 273, Oleinyk faced Jared Vanderaa and managed to shock the world with one of the rarest submission techniques you'll ever get to see. After some pretty heated exchanges in the opening round of the fight, Jared Vanderaa was getting the better of Oleinyk, with Jared getting in position for a rear naked choke. But Oleinyk, who at that point was very desperate to get a win by any means possible, scrambled his way into getting control in the side mount. And in very quick succession, he recreated his 2014 submission win against Anthony Hamilton by squeezing the living daylight out of Vanderaa with a scarf hold till Vanderaa tapped out. This was the second time we got to see that submission used by Oleinyk. But sadly, we won't get to see Oleinyk perform this move for the third time, because after his loss to Ilir Latifi in October 2022, the UFC released him 9 days later, following the completion of his contract. Number 5 on our list is UFC bantamweight Said Nurmagomedov's guillotine choke on Cody Stamann at UFC 270. And no, before you even ask, he's not related to Khabib Nurmagomedov, at least not directly. However, Said Nurmagomedov just proves that Dagestani fighters are on a completely different level from other fighters when it comes to fighting on the ground. Stamann came out guns blazing in the first round, putting a lot of pressure on Said Nurmagomedov. Stamann then made the biggest mistake of his career by trying to get a takedown against Said, indirectly creating space for Said Nurmagomedov to get a smooth and easy transition into a beautiful guillotine choke. The choke eventually made Stamann tap out at the 47-second mark of the first round. Number 4 is Tom Aspinall's armbar submission win against Alexander Volkov at UFC London. To be fair, the UFC's trip to London back in March 2022 brought a number of fighters into the limelight, like Arnold Allen, Molly McCann, and Paddy Pimblett. But one fighter who managed to steal the entire show with his breathtaking submission was Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall faced one of the toughest opponents of all time, Alexander Volkov, who clearly no one felt he could actually beat, let alone submit. However, Aspinall proved all his doubters wrong by getting Volkov to tap out with a vicious straight armbar variant from the half-guard position. The bigger shock to Aspinall's glorious win is that he did it in less than 4 minutes of the very first round. Sadly, when the UFC returned to England in July 2022, he picked up his 3rd MMA career loss against Curtis Blaydes due to a knee injury. Well, regardless of that loss, his submission is still plastered in the record books as one of the top submissions of the year. Number 3 is Claudio Puelles' Kneebar submission against Clay Guida at UFC Fight Night 205. Claudio Puelles, a young submission prodigy in the UFC lightweight division, showed the world that he possesses the skills to submit his opponents, just like the king Charles Oliveira. And we know kneebar submissions are typically rare to see in the UFC, but this guy does it with ease and in style. Claudio entered 2022 bagging 3 kneebar submission wins in his MMA career, but when the UFC scheduled him to face the veteran Clay Guida on April 23, 2022, many fans didn't expect him to pull off his signature kneebar submission, and that's because Clay Guida's last loss by submission was in his 2018 fight against Charles Oliveira. However, Claudio was able to neutralize Clay Guida's veteran power to catch him in a vicious kneebar submission. Right now, we're still stuck with the question of whether or not Claudio Puelles can rise to the top of the lightweight division. But what we do know is that if he keeps pulling off magnificent submissions like this, he'll become a top contender real soon. But hey, before we talk about the top 2 submissions on our list, we have a little task for you watching this video right now. We're doing a monthly shoutout contest for all our viewers. All you have to do is subscribe to our channel and comment MMA in the comment section down below. We'll be picking one random comment to display in our next video, so our viewers get to know you. If you want us to make you feel that special, then scroll down, hit that like button, and comment MMA right now. Number 2 is Yeezy Prochazka's naked choke victory against Glover Teixeira at UFC 275. Everyone's favorite good guy, Glover Teixeira, lost his UFC light heavyweight title to the Czech Republic warrior, Yeezy Prochazka. Teixeira, who at the age of 43 was one of the oldest first-time champs in UFC's history, went to war with a much younger opponent. Of course Prochazka was faster, of course he was a little bit stronger, and of course he had better cardio. But Teixeira had the heart, people. This man's heart was in the fight and he wasn't ready to give up for anything. And contrary to what people might have expected because of Prochazka's outstanding MMA record, Teixeira almost went the distance with him. But in the 5th and final round, even after Teixeira got in the mount position, Prochazka was able to get off his back to catch Teixeira in a rear naked choke position till Teixeira tapped out. But we don't think Teixeira will go down just like that. Anyway, the moment we've all been waiting for is finally here. The number 1 submission so far in 2022 is Islam Makhachev's arm triangle choke against Charles Oliveira at UFC 280. We started this video with Charles Oliveira, and we're going to end it with him. Because when it comes to submissions, he's the king. But on the night of UFC 280, the king got a taste of his own medicine against a formidable foe, trained by one of the best fighters in the world, Khabib Nurmagomedov. One of the most anticipated UFC cards of 2022 ended in a huge shocker for some, while for others, it was a night to celebrate. Islam said he was going to take Oliveira to the ground and finish the fight there, and that's exactly what he did. After Oliveira tried catching Makhachev in a couple of submissions in the first round, Makhachev came into the second round to lock in a very tight arm triangle lock that forced Oliveira to tap out. With that, Islam Makhachev became the undisputed king of the lightweight division and has set the path to continue the legacy of his coach, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, are there any submissions you think we missed? Let us know in the comments section down below. And once you're done, make sure you check out this other video showing on your screen right now. Click on it, and we'll see you there.